Today on the program, we're talking about the comedy.
Hey, geek! I just stepped in your dog's crap!
As we've been recording these episodes today, spoiler alert, we've recorded multiple in one day. If you go through the episodes, we're not just wearing the same thing every day. We're not disgusting. I do laundry.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah, I didn't know where that stench was coming from. But maybe I'm in a good mood. Maybe these are just some of my favorite movies. Maybe a little column A, a little column B. I Love You Man is close to a perfect comedy. I think I said this about Forgetting Sarah Marshall too, but these two go back and forth in my head as the best comedies of the last 20 years or so. In my head, I always think of it like post Blues Brothers.
Interesting.
So in my lifetime, really, I think these are the two of the best comedy. I mean, I Love You Man is close to flawless, and I don't know anybody that doesn't like this movie or is even apathetic to it. Everyone I know who's seen this movie and I've talked to about this movie, I think just really loves it. And I can't totally, as we talk about it and process it, I'll come to some conclusions. I can't come to one conclusion as to why. I mean, people like buddy movies and like friendship and everything, but at its core, this is such a feel-good movie that we kind of just like everybody. There's really no villain. I mean, there's a guy that Paul Rudd works with who's an asshole, and they're fighting over the Ferrigno estate. But there are no real villains in the movie. It's just about rooting for Paul Rudd, and you're rooting for his relationship, and you're rooting for Jason Segel. You're just kind of rooting for everybody to come to a conclusion where we all love each other.
Yeah,
that's nice.
Except for the fact that the whole idea and basis of this movie, of Paul Rudd, not having any friends, which is sad, right? But whatever.
He's happy.
It is what it is, right? The fact of meeting new people is the fucking worst.
Oh yeah, I gave that up years ago.
I mean, it's awful. The fact that he's got to go out on these mandates to try and meet these new people to have friends for this wedding, that's the fucking worst.
I can't imagine doing that. Bumble, the dating app, has a feature called Friend, where I think it's if you move to a new city or something. I mean, this is the only way you're going to meet people, where you're going out to meet people just to become friends, and that sounds like the worst fucking thing imaginable. Going on a date is annoying enough. Take away the implication of sleeping with the person.
Oh yeah, that's the
What's
fucking
the point?
Yeah, the worst.
Makes no sense. By the time you're 30, I think you've met half the people you're going to meet in your life. I would narrow that. I'm almost 30. I don't plan on meeting anyone ever again. It's a good thing you guys are grandfathered in, because
that's good. Yeah.
That, yeah.
Yeah, it's the worst. And that is the basis for this movie. Offsets kind of the weirdness of Jason Segel's character.
Yeah.
Which plays off well with the weirdness of Paul Rudd's character.
Two different kinds of weirdness.
Yeah, two very different types of weird, but they play off of each other. I do want to say, before we really take a deep dive, this is a Chicago movie.
Give me a second.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! This is a Chicago movie because Thomas Lennon of Reno 911 fame is from Chicago.
Yeah.
And actually his character in the movie is from Chicago as well. So this is a Chicago movie.
That's what he mentions that when they're at the dinner date, right? And that dinner date, talking about the dating app friend thing, clearly Thomas Lennon, he understandably misinterpreted the point of that dinner. Two dudes just don't go out. I haven't met you before. Would you like? You're new in town. Let's go grab dinner. That's the implication that there's something sexual going on.
But Thomas Lennon's awesome. Thomas, if you'd love to be on the show sometime, we'd love to have you.
Reno 911 is one of the most underrated television comedies.
Absolutely, 100%,
So fucking funny.
100%. And the characters, all of the actors from there, appearing in all these different other things. And I have such a hard time still differentiating, right?
Like the actress who plays
who is on the Goldbergs? Is that this where you're going, right?
Yeah. Wendy, yeah, she's in Bridesmaids too, and I watched Bridesmaids. I'm like, oh, Reno 911.
Yeah, exactly.
Reno 911's been off the air for a long ass time.
Yeah, totally underrated. And I didn't appreciate Reno 911 when it was on the air. Like I'd occasionally like have it on in the background, but I didn't appreciate it. And I've gone back and watched the episodes, and like, that's some good comedy right there.
Oh, it's so funny. It's timeless.
It's good
It's really
comedy,
timeless.
yeah.
But yeah, Thomas Lennon is, and everything else that he's in, he's still funny. But I do always think of him as Reno 911. But that date that they go on, awkward. He goes to the soccer game.
This is awesome! This is awesome!
Awkward. It kind of does, even though you and I probably can't relate to the idea of trying to go on man dates with strangers, because I don't think a lot of people can. We can relate to being in awkward situations with people we don't know very well.
Yeah, or even with people you do know. Like,
Yeah.
I actually wrote a note about this, right? Like, in the movie, you look at Paul Rudd's character in the interactions with Jason Segel, and there's a lot of awkwardness there, right? But that happens, right? So, in particular, in the movie, he says, "Later's on the men, Jay."
All right, I'll see you then, bud.
All right. Latest on the men, Jay. What did I just say?
Right? Like, "Later's on the men, Jay." And it's one of those things where it's like, you go out, right? And you go to a restaurant, and they're like, "Okay, enjoy your meal." And you're like, "You too."
Right.
Like, fuck, I just told you to enjoy your meal, and you're serving food. Like, you're not eating. It's
calls
like
him-
those awkwardness. Like,
He calls him like Jobin or something.
You got it, Jobin.
Sorry, what? Nothing.
On the
Yeah,
phone. Yeah.
yeah.
And even if it's not awkward, I think about a thing that I said, especially after like a night of drinking for the next 3 days.
oh yeah,
Also, I
when
think
you
post-
fuck up like that, and
Yeah.
you're like, "Oh shit, did I really fucking say that?"
I think about things I said when I was 12. Like I'm just
Oh, yeah. I should have said this. Like,
Basket
that
case.
would have been like the better thing to say. Like, I should have done this. I should have said this. But
Yeah. No, that's perfect. Yeah, this the awkwardness that's captured. It's written so well. Probably 'cause it's probably based off not identical experiences, but real experiences that a writer had.
Yeah.
That are written into the show. And Paul Rudd, like I said before, there's no real evil people in the movie. You're just kind of rooting for people all the time, and it's so easy to root for him. Not just because you feel bad for him, like he's that pathetic, because he's clearly successful. He got a nice house.
Yeah.
He has a job. He's a nice guy. The fact that he's not bothered by the fact that he doesn't have guy friends makes him more likable, and it's easier to root for him without it being too cringy.
yeah,
Because it's like, this guy's happy. He just never took the time to make male friends.
Yeah.
Which there are people who are like that. He's a girlfriend guy. And he's totally comfortable with it, but he's just trying to, figure the situation out. It's just so easy to root for throughout the whole movie. It's just a feel great movie, I
yeah.
think.
I mean, it's enjoyable. It's nice. It's got a lot of lines, right? Like, we talk about this a lot, where it's like the quotability, right? I mean, oftentimes the saying the line "slap at a bass."
Slap at the bass. That sounded like Borat.
Yeah.
Slap at the bass.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's
Slap at a bass,
slap at
yeah.
a bass. And then the whole thing, you try and sound Jamaican, like
Yeah.
things like that. I often find myself, I don't know about you, I feel like it would probably be a similar situation. Me and my best friend, Hank Mardukas.
Hank Mardukas has been my closest friend since our first year at IBM. Best
Yeah.
man at our wedding.
Yeah, he was.
I often say a lot of these lines because they're quotable, they're funny, and but they're also a little obscure too, right? Like, if you said to somebody on the street, you made the slap at a bass or the Hank Mardukas joke, they might not get it.
Right.
But it doesn't make it any less funny.
No, yeah. A lot of people wouldn't necessarily get it because they might not be thinking. This movie might not ever be top of mind for a lot of people, even though they like it a lot. My buddy Matt and I always make this joke when either of us are mostly. I mean, he makes this joke a lot, like when his girlfriend has friends over, and he's like, I feel like the Paul Rudd with the milkshakes right now. And we've both been in this situation so many times. We're just surrounded by girls and feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like in our homes, that we always like send each other the picture of Paul Rudd walking with the milkshakes with the straws. And it's just like an obscure reference. If you said that to a stranger on the street, you're like, oh, I feel like Paul Rudd with the milkshakes right now. I'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about? But there's so many things that are iconic to people that enjoy the movie.
Yeah, and I think it does a good job. It's not one of those movies where you're going to be laughing from the start to the finish, right?
No.
Like Superbad, we've talked about a lot of these other movies, right? Superbad, for me, it's Coming to America, like just nonstop laughs. They just keep coming at you. This is not that movie.
No.
it has good laughs, it has good comedy, but it's not just like, you're not just getting repeatedly, hit with jokes.
Yeah, it's more ha-ha funny than LMAO funny.
Yeah.
But it's well written. The dialogue's good. The characters are great. The funniest thing, I think, for me in the movie is the scene with the housewarming when Jason Segel's like, that guy's holding in a fart.
Hey, check out these two. That guy needs to fart. He does seem to be clenching. Watch the leg. Boom. He farted in my open house. He sure did.
I'm thinking it might be a little bit small.
Totally, and it smells like fart.
And he like does the whole play-by-play, and then the guy farts, and it's
Yeah.
like, it smells like farts in here. To me, that's the funniest scene in the movie, and like probably the biggest LOL scene. So speaking of characters, were you ever a fan, or did you watch the old Hulk
With Lou Ferrigno. Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
I'm not saying I was completely ignorant to his career, because I knew that he played the Hulk. Everyone knows that. But I never watched those. And I'm a big fan of The King of Queens,
My back is getting tight.
where Lou Ferrigno
Is
in
the
the later
neighbor, right?
seasons
Yeah.
is the neighbor as Lou Ferrigno. And I'm a big fan of this movie. I know Lou Ferrigno by playing Lou Ferrigno as Lou Ferrigno, former Hulk star, that I do Lou Ferrigno as
As
the
the
Hulk.
Hulk himself, yeah.
Because I've never seen those movies, but I've seen him in The King of Queens. I've seen him in this.
That's funny.
And it's funny that he's able to make a career and have roles playing himself, a semi-fictionalized version of himself as a successful actor.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, I liked a lot of the interaction for me because of knowing the Incredible Hulk with Lou Ferrigno, right? The whole interaction with Jason Segel and Lou Ferrigno about the Hulk,
Yeah.
like that's funny to me. Like that hits. Like that's a joke that hits that might not, for example, for you, like I'm sure you found it funny, right? Because,
Right.
Like it's funny, but like you might not have necessarily like appreciated it because it's not something that you're like, I get that reference.
Right, yeah, it 100%. And Lou Ferrigno's just funny in this role as himself. There's a scene at the end when they're actually at the wedding where you knew this was going to end at the wedding.
Spoiler alert.
As a lot of comedies do, they try to assemble the whole cast at the end and have this grand finale and whatever. And they do that here. A lot of times it seems corny when they have like a big moment at the end and everybody that's been in the movie is here. They do that here. His wedding party is everybody he went on a date with.
Yeah.
And Lou Ferrigno. But it doesn't feel forced. It doesn't feel corny. When they're all walking out at the end, the wedding party, it makes me laugh.
Yeah.
And I don't know how, it's really impressive that they're able to do that and not make it feel forced, not make it feel corny. It's just really, really funny.
Yeah. I got to ask you, because I feel like this is also an element of there's a very specific person, right, that this calls to, right? Like the whole stuff with Rush. A lot of people are huge Rush fans, right? Like crazy Rush fans. Not everybody is, right? Like, might be like, okay, their music's good. Like, okay. But these two finding each other, being the huge Rush fans, does that at all? Now I know obviously Rush is not like necessarily your age demographic, right? But like, did you find yourself identifying with their characters like Rush?
I think it was a perfect thing to pick because I mean I know how big Rush is/was. It was a perfect thing to pick because they're big enough that you could find another super fan, but it's obscure of a thing to connect to people who are completely different. Like we talked about, like Jason Segel's character is a bachelor who's having one-night stands and like going out hiking all the time and stuff, and Paul Rudd's character is engaged and waiting for HBO Sunday nights and it's kind of a dork. They're like very different, but it's an obscure enough thing to connect them that it's memorable. And it helps drive the plot. Like they go to the concert, they're slapping the bass.
Slap the bass.
They found something that could add so much comedy to the movie and advance the plot that it was a perfect thing to add. And it's kind of, they could have picked something else. Like they could have picked Grateful Dead or something, but that would have made them, I think, less likable.
No, I feel like Rush makes it. I don't know. It's a better gag there, right? Because, man, if you find somebody that likes Rush, they don't just like Rush.
They love Rush.
They love Rush.
I love
Rush. Or you find somebody that's kind of okay, fine, like indifferent, apathetic to the whole notion of Rush, right? And you know, I mean, I'll say it, I'm that apathetic dude.
I am too. Yeah.
Like
good
Rush,
music,
like
whatever.
Okay, you know, and you hear all the time like, oh, the drummer from Rush is the best drummer in the history of drummers. Like, well, no. Like, is he good? Like, yeah, he's good. He plays the drums very well, and he does something that, like, he has a style that nobody else has. But I'm not like this like crazy super fan, you know. Like, and you do get that, I guess, with some like Deadheads. Although in general, Deadheads are like, they're mellow. They're not gonna be like Rush and being like, I'm gung ho about the Grateful Dead.
I love
The Grateful Dead. It's like, yeah, I like the Grateful Dead. I've gone on tour. I've
Also-
gone to show. Like, I've gone to like 80 shows.
Yeah,
Like,
and I'm not saying Deadheads are weird per se, because I know people who love the Grateful Dead, but I think it's less, Rush has a very normal connotation. It's like my dad likes Rush, my brother, like, it's just like, oh, I love the band Rush.
Yeah.
Like, I could see a guy who looked like Paul Rudd's character in the movie telling me that he loved Rush.
yeah,
I couldn't picture him saying that he followed the Grateful Dead on tour in 1984.
yeah,
I feel like Rush was the perfect band to pick for that, because they have super fans, but they're normal, mainstream enough. That, like,
Canadian,
yeah, Canadian. Canadians are normal, friendly.
friendly.
Hi, how are you?
I don't know. You know, this is one of those movies. It's good. I'm not as gung ho about it as you are, but I like it, and maybe it's the awkwardness, like we talked about with Sarah Marshall, right? Like the fact that this movie is, like that movie in particular, was so like cringy, like just cringy in the fact of like poor Jason Segel's character is just trying to move on with his life, and his ex is in his face, like, and it just is. It's an awful situation to be in, right? This has a similar element with is the like trying to make friends type of thing as an adult, which is just awful. And so maybe I haven't given it as much time as I should have, which I think I said the exact same thing with Sarah Marshall as well. And maybe I need to go back and like watch it more. But it's still a good movie. Like I enjoyed it the couple of times I've seen it. And so, I mean, I think that it's not going to be a big number like some of these other movies. In fact, to be honest with you, I don't think it cracks 7. And I'm not about to make this the 6.9 joke again.
Well, yeah,
but
no,
like
not a lot of
I don't think it breaks 7. So I'll throw out 6.8.
Wow. I mean, I really hope you're not right, because I love it. I love this movie, man. I actually think, now that I know what the Sarah Marshall score was, I think this is gonna surpass it.
7.1.
What? Which is surprising, but now that, like, when I think about it, I think this movie might actually be better. I'm gonna say it's God, I hope I'm right. 7.3.
7.
7. So I was like pretty close right there.
You were close. All right.
Because I mean I was gonna go 6.9, but I didn't want to make the sex joke.
But what
again,
did you get? What did you guys get?
6.8.
Okay. We were in the ballpark.
We're in the ballpark. I mean, like, I
I'm
didn't
just glad
think
it
there was
cracks-
any prizes to begin with.
I'm glad it cracked 7, though.